هذا التسجيل هو عمل تطوعي مقدم من مبادرة بصيرة للأشخاص المكفوفين وضعاف البصر بالتعاون مع المجلس الأعلى لحقوق الأشخاص ذوي الإعاقة. Action Pack 8 8th Grade Students Book Module 3 What's a hero? Outcomes. You will be able to talk about modern heroes and their qualities, listen to descriptions of heroes of the present and the past, read about heroes of the present and the past, role play a situation using the past simple and the past continuous, write a newspaper story. فبعد هذا الدرس حتقدروا إنكم تتحدثوا عن أبطال حديثون وصفاتهم. حتسمعوا عن صفات أبطال في الحاضر والماضي، وحتقرأوا عن أبطال بالحاضر وبالماضي، وتمثلوا موقف باستعمال الماضي البسيط والماضي المستمر. بعدين حتكتبوا مقال. Before you start, look at the photographs. Who are these people? What do you know about them? أول صورة رجل متسلق جبال، والصورة الثانية صورة لاعب كرة قدم، والصورة الثالثة صورة محامي. Exercise 1. The word hero can be used to describe different kinds of people, such as A. Sportsmen or film stars you admire. B. People famous for their ability to overcome challenges. C. The hero of a story. فهلا احنا بنستعمل كلمة أبطال لرياضيين أو ممثلين. ممكن نستعمل كلمة بطل لشخص قدر يتغلب على تحدي، أو ممكن يكون بطل في رواية. Exercise 2. Read the words below. Try to guess their meanings. Brave, moral, honest, focused, dedicated, clever, creative, great, inquisitive. Brave معناتها شجاع. Moral أخلاقي. Honest صادق. Focused مركز. Dedicated ملتزم. Clever ذكي. Creative إبداعي. Great عظيم. Inquisitive فضولي. Exercise 4. In a group, make a list of heroes and heroines corresponding to the 3 categories in Exercise 1. Then describe them to the class using the words in the box to help you. For example, Zainuddin Zidane was a great footballer. The way he played was very clever and creative. Remember, in exercise 1, we said the heroes could be sportsmen, film stars, somebody famous for the ability to overcome challenges, and the hero of a story. So think of different heroes and write a sentence about them using the words we described before. A true hero. Reading strategies. Headlines. Headlines in English-speaking newspapers are difficult because they do not use normal capitalization or punctuation. They miss out words and they use difficult vocabulary. فعنوان المقال بأي جريدة عادة يعني باللغة الإنجليزية ما بتكون جملة مفيدة أو ممكن ما يكون فيها القواعد الصحيحة. ممكن الكلمات اللي تستخدم تكون كلمات صعبة. Make a full sentence from the headline. 10 injured in M1 horror crash. بدنا نفكر هذا العنوان إذا حطيناه بجملة مفيدة إيش ممكن يكون؟ المثال عنا 10 people were injured in a horrible car crash on a motorway called the M1. Now I'm going to read you an article, and there's a picture next to the article. The picture is of a family, a father, a mother, a boy, and a girl. The boy is wearing a police helmet. So before we start, look at the family photo. Why do you think the boy is wearing a police helmet? Why do you think the photo of the family is put in a newspaper article? ونفكر ليش محطوطة هالصورة صورة العيلة وليش صورة الولد لابس خوذة الشرطة. Now this is the article. The headline is 7-year-old saves family from attackers. Broadbent, Sussex, March 10th. A 7-year-old boy, Charles Robbins, stopped some robbers at home. While the robbers were threatening his parents, he locked himself in the bathroom with his little sister and called the police. You can hear the conversation in a copy of the police tape. The boy talked about his frightening experience to news reporters this afternoon. While he and his little sister were playing in the garden, the boy realized something unusual was going on. I saw a strange man. He was standing in the street. Then I looked into the kitchen and I saw 2 other men. They were pointing their guns at my mom and dad. My mom and dad were putting their hands up and their heads down. I grabbed mom's phone, took my sister, and ran to the bathroom. I locked the door and I phoned the police. While he was talking to the police, one of the robbers broke down the door and grabbed the phone. When the boy told them he was speaking to the police, the robbers escaped. They didn't injure anyone, and they didn't take any property. During the news conference, the boy was wearing a police helmet that police gave him for being brave. Exercise 1. Reread the article. Are these sentences true or false? Explain why. A. Charles noticed something was happening at home. Is that true or false? That is a true sentence. B. The boy ran to the kitchen and saved his parents from the robbers. Is this true or false? C. The robbers took a computer. True or false? D. The police gave the boy a helmet because he was courageous. True or false? Exercise 2. Listen to these words. Try to guess their meanings. Frightening, robber, theft, to attack, to grab, to injure, to threaten. Frightening معناتها مخيف. Robber سارق. Theft سرقة. To attack يهجم. To grab ينزع. To injure يجرح. To threaten يهدد. Grammar: the past simple and the past continuous. الماضي البسيط والماضي المستمر. So the past simple is used to talk about finished actions or past situations and past habits. يستخدم الماضي البسيط والذي يطلق عليه أحياناً صيغة الماضي للتعبير عن فعل مكتمل في فترة زمنية قبل الآن. يعد الماضي البسيط الصيغة الأساسية للتعبير عن الماضي في اللغة الإنجليزية. عند استخدام الماضي البسيط فإننا نشير إلى حدث في الماضي القريب أو الماضي البعيد، أو قد يكون من غير إلهام ذكر وقت وقوع الحادث. فمثلاً He called the police. Rufayda lived during the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We add ed to the infinitive of the verb to form the past simple of regular verbs. فمنزيد ed على الفعل عشان يصير فعل ماضي. She trained nurses to help the sick. Something unusual happened to me. The past form of irregular verbs is different from the infinitive. You have to memorize them. بس في هناك أفعال شاذة اللي لازم بس تحفظوها. فمثلا الفعل say إنه يقول، الفعل الماضي تبعها said. lose lost take took. فهي الأفعال ما منزيد ed بس لازم نحفظ الفعل الماضي تبعهم. We use did, not and infinitive to form the negative. فإذا بدنا ننفي الجملة منحط did not أو didn't. فمثلا The grandmother didn't find the way to Bill's house. أو the grandmother did not find the way to Bill's house. فالفعل هون بضله الفعل المضارع. We put did before the subject to form the interrogative. How did the boy save the old man? Did you hear the news? فلما يكون عنا استفهام بدنا نتساءل بنحط did قبل الفعل. فهون مثلا زي ما حكينا قبل How did the boy save the old man? and did you hear the news? We use the following adverbs with a past simple. Yesterday, last week, last month, last year. These adverbs may also be used in combination with always, usually, every morning, often, sometimes, twice a week, once a month. ممكن نستخدم ظرف عند ال past simple زي اللي حكيتهم قبل اللي هم من yesterday و last week. ممكن إنه نحكي إنه دائما مثلا always, usually, every morning, كل صباح. For example, I read an interesting book yesterday. أو مثلا last month, Danielle came to work early every morning. This month, she's always late. هلا past continuous. We use the past continuous to talk about activities that went on for some time in the past. فنستخدم ال past continuous في اللغة الإنجليزية من أجل التكلم عن حدث وقع واستمر لمدة معينة من الوقت في الماضي. فمثلا, the robbers were threatening his parents. كانوا عم بيهددوا الأهل. الحرامية عم بيهددوا الأهل. فهي ما وقفت إنه بس مرة، إنه كملوا تهديد. were threatening. We use was or were, and then the infinitive, and we add ing to the verb to form the past continuous. فبنبدأ الجملة ب يا was or were، يعني I was or we were. بعدين بنحط الفعل مع ing. فمثلا, I was cycling yesterday afternoon. His sister Dina was teaching him tennis. We were having so much fun. We used was or were, and then not, and then we put the infinitive, and we add ing to form the negative. فلما بدنا ننفي نستخدم أول إشي يا was يا were، بعدين not للنفي، بعدين الفعل مع ing. فمثلا, they weren't spending the day at your house. We put was or were before the subject to form the interrogative. فلما نسأل نستعمل يا was يا were. فمثلا, was he spending the day at your house? Were they taking care of the baby? We may put an interrogative word at the beginning of the sentence. Where was Jack going? When the past continuous and the past simple appear in one sentence, the past continuous describes the setting of the scene, and the past simple reports an event. لما يكون الماضي البسيط والماضي المستمر بجملة واحدة، الماضي المستمر بشرح الموقف، والماضي البسيط بخبرك عن أو بيعطيك المعلومة إيش اللي صار. فمثلا, while the robbers were threatening his parents, he locked himself in the bathroom. فالموقف كان هون إنه لما الحرامية كانوا عم بيهددوا أهله، هو حبس نفسه بالحمام. While he and his sister were playing in the garden, the boy realized something unusual was going on. She was preparing lunch when the phone rang. Exercise 1. Complete these sentences using was, were, was not or wasn't, were not or weren't. أول صورة ولد على الدراجة. عادل said, "Where were you yesterday afternoon?" Farid said, "I blank out cycling." Would you fill in the blank with was, were, wasn't, or weren't? The correct answer here is was. I was out cycling. The second picture is a picture of a boy playing tennis. Adil asked, "Was your cousin Omar with you?" Farid said, "Yes, he blank. But he blank cycling." His sister Ghada blank teaching him tennis. So you have to fill in the blanks with was, were, wasn't, or weren't. The correct answer here is yes, he was, but he wasn't cycling. His sister Ghada was teaching him tennis. The third picture is a picture of a boy reading a book. Adil asked, "Blank, they spending the day at your house?" So do you fill in the blank with was, were, wasn't, or weren't? The correct question would be, weren't they spending the day at your house? Farid said, "No, they blank. They only came for an hour. We blank having so much fun." The correct sentence would be, "No, they weren't. They only came for an hour. We were having so much fun." Farid asked, "Blank, you playing with someone?" Would you fill in the blank with was, were, wasn't, or weren't? The correct answer here would be, weren't you playing with someone? Adil answered, "No, I blank. I blank reading an interesting book." So do you fill in the blanks with was, were, wasn't, or weren't? The correct answer would be, no, I wasn't. I was reading an interesting book. Exercise 2. Work in pairs. Tell your partner what you were doing at these times. This morning, last Friday, last weekend, yesterday evening. Use the past continuous. For example, you can say, I was having breakfast with my mother this morning. Or this morning, I was having breakfast with my mother. Exercise 3. Look at the sentences from the article. What two tenses can you identify? Find other examples in the article. For example, while the robbers were threatening his parents, he locked himself in the bathroom with his little sister and called the police. So over here we can underline were threatening. That's past continuous. Locked. He locked himself in the bathroom. That's past simple. Called and called the police. Called here is past simple. Now listen to the article again and find other sentences pointing out the past simple and the past continuous. Exercise 4. Use the clues to write sentences in the past simple or the past continuous about how Ra'ad crashed his red car. Number 1. The first clue is talk on the phone. So the correct sentence would be, he was talking on the phone. Number 2. The clue here is look at the sky. What would the sentence be in either past simple or past continuous? The correct answer here would be he was looking at the sky. Number 3. Not stop at red light. The correct sentence would be he did not stop at the red light. Number 4. Drive fast. The correct sentence would be he was driving fast. Number 5. Not listen to traffic policemen. The correct sentence would be he did not listen to the traffic policeman. Ra'ad promised to follow the road safety rules next time. Exercise 5. Complete the dialogue with the correct form of the verbs in brackets. Mrs. Jones said, "Good morning, class. I hope you all had a nice weekend. Have any of you experienced anything interesting that you want to share with us?" "Yes, Jack." Jack said, "Well, something unusual, blank, to me." The verb in brackets is happen. "My parents said I did a kind thing." So fill in the blank with the verb happen in the correct form. The correct answer here would be, well, something unusual happened to me. My parents said I did a kind thing. Mrs. Jones asked, "When did it happen?" Jack answered, "Yesterday morning, while I blank to visit my cousins." The verb in brackets is go. Put go in the correct form. Mrs. Jones asked, "What happened?" Jack said, "I blank in the street." The verb in brackets here is walk. I blank in the street when I blank an old woman asking people about a boy called Bill. The second blank should be filled with the verb hear in the right form. She wanted to see him play football, but was lost and didn't know where to go. Mrs. Jones asked, "What happened next?" Jack answered, "I remember I blank to watch my cousins play football later that afternoon." The verb in brackets is go. "So I decided to take her to their house to see if they knew who she was." Mrs. Jones asked, blank her. In brackets, we have they and recognize. Jack answered, "Yes, she was the grandmother of one of the players. She was going to buy a gift for him when she got lost." Exercise 6. Now listen to the dialogue and check your answers. Mrs. Jones said, "Good morning, class. I hope you all had a nice weekend. Have any of you experienced anything interesting that you want to share with us?" "Yes, Jack." Jack said, "Well, something unusual happened to me. My parents said I did a kind thing." Mrs. Jones asked, "When did it happen?" Jack said, "Yesterday morning, while I went to visit my cousins." Mrs. Jones asked, "What happened?" Jack answered, "I was walking in the street when I heard an old woman asking people about a boy called Bill. She wanted to see him play football, but was lost and didn't know where to go." Mrs. Jones asked, "What happened next?" Jack answered, "I remembered I was going to watch my cousins play football later that afternoon, so I decided to take her to their house to see if they knew who she was." Mrs. Jones asked, "Did they recognize her?" Jack answered, "Yes, she was the grandmother of one of the players. She was going to buy a gift for him when she got lost." Exercise 7. Make sentences using the past simple and the past continuous. Number 1. Walk to work. Find a wallet full of money. They. استعملوا هاي الجمل عشان تعملوا جملة مفيدة. The correct answer here would be, they were walking to work when they found a wallet full of money. Number 2. Shop. Lose wallet. She. The correct answer here would be, she was shopping when she lost her wallet. Number 3. Jog in the park. The car theft happened. We. The correct sentence here would be, we were jogging in the park when the car theft happened. Number 4. Study for my exam. Have a terrible headache. The correct sentence here would be, I was studying for my exam when I had a terrible headache. Number 5. Read the paper. Hear the baby cry. He. The correct sentence here would be, he was reading the paper when he heard the baby crying. Speaking strategies. Sequencing. استراتيجيات في الحديث. تسلسل. Think clearly about the order of events in the situation being described. فكر بوضوح ترتيب الأحداث في الموقف اللي بدك تشرحه. Use words that will give clues about the order of events to the listener. استعمل الكلمات عشان تعطي المستمع فكرة عن ترتيب الأحداث. Example: this morning, next, in the end. Be prepared to answer questions about the order of events using words such as before and after. كن مستعد لأنك تجاوب الأسئلة عن ترتيب الأحداث باستخدام الكلمات قبل وبعد. For example, question: when did Jack see the old lady? Answer: before he reached his cousin's house. Exercise 8. Follow the speaking strategies. Then, in pairs, choose one of the 3 situations. Each of you should make a list of 5 things that happened during the event. Then, take turns to play the 2 roles, asking and answering questions. A. You saved a little boy caught in a fire. B. You broke the headmaster's window playing with a ball in the school playground. C. You are a famous artist or a sports person and a journalist is interviewing you. هلأ نقوا واحدة من هاي الأحداث واكتبوا 5 أشياء اللي صارت بخلال الحدث اللي نقيتوه. بعدين مع شخص تاني حاولوا اسألوا أسئلة وجاوبوها. Skills focus. A compassionate hero. Before you start, look at the picture and say what you think both the good and bad points of using tents are. Do you think they look nice? Would you like to live in one? الصورة في مجموعة خيم وفي الخيمة الكبيرة بالنص وخيم أصغر حواليها. Exercise 1. Listen to the words below in context. Try to guess their meanings. Wound, battle, caring, compassion, compassionate, to encourage, soldier. wound هو الجرح. battle معركة. caring مراعي من الرعاية. compassion تعاطف. compassionate متعاطف. to encourage يشجع. soldier جندي. find the words. حقرأ جمل ونقوا كلمة من الكلمات اللي قرأتها قبل اللي جملة بتشرحها. A strong feeling of care for someone who is suffering and a desire to help them. هل هي wound, battle, caring, compassion, compassionate, to encourage أو soldier. هل ممكن تكون caring، ممكن تكون compassionate المتعاطف. caring هو من الرعاية و compassionate هي المتعاطف. A fight between groups of people as a part of a larger war. هل هاي بتشرح wound, battle, caring, compassion, compassionate, to encourage, or soldier. A member of the army. Reading. Read the article. What qualities did رفيدة الإسلامية have? You can use the adjectives on page 23 to help describe her qualities. رفيدة الإسلامية. رفيدة الإسلامية, Islam's first female nurse, lived during the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and was one of the first people in Medina to accept Islam. She was a compassionate woman who was most famous for treating soldiers in battle. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, invited her to help Muslims by giving medical help to his soldiers when they needed it most. In times of war, Rufaidah set up hospital tents next to the battlefield so that injured soldiers could be treated at once. She trained other nurses to help as many injured men as possible. They were trained to treat wounds, but also to be caring and kind. Rufaidah's success was noticed by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. To encourage her, a tent was set up by the Prophet's mosque, peace be upon him, so she could continue her voluntary work helping the sick, using her own money. She listened to people and looked at how they lived. Then she helped them make their lives healthier and more comfortable. Just as the Prophet, peace be upon him, understood the importance of her work, people around the world today, especially doctors and nurses, should continue to view Rufaidah as an example of compassion. Exercise 3. Read the article again. Then answer these questions. Question 1. How did Rufaidah's work differ between times of war and times of peace? Question 2. In what ways do you think Rufaidah was brave? Question 3. What do you think encouraged her to help people so much? Question 4. Rufaidah al-Islamiyya is described as compassionate, famous, and successful. Give 5 facts from the text to support this opinion. Vocabulary. Exercise 4. Look at the underlined words in this paragraph. Are they nouns, adjectives, or verbs? هلأ الكلمات اللي في تحتها خط بدنا نعرف أو نحكي هل هي من الأسماء، صفات، أم أفعال. Rufaidah was Islam's first female nurse. Nurse is underlined. Is nurse a noun, adjective, or verb? Nurse is a noun. She was very brave and became famous for treating wounded soldiers in battle. Brave is underlined, famous is underlined, and battle is underlined. Brave, is it noun, adjective, or verb? Brave is an adjective. Famous is underlined. She became famous for treating wounded soldiers in battle. Famous, is it a noun, adjective, or verb? Famous is an adjective. Battle, for treating wounded soldiers in battle. Is battle a noun, adjective, or verb? Battle is a noun. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was pleased with the great work that she did. Did is underlined. Is it a noun, adjective, or verb? Did is a verb. We should learn about her achievements. Learn is underlined. Is it a noun, adjective, or verb? Learn is a verb. Exercise 7. Write down the ways that Rufaidah helped people and became famous. Do you think she is a good example of compassion for people today? هذا اللي بدكم تكتبوا طرق كيف رفيدة ساعدت الناس وأصبحت مشهورة. هل برأيكم إنه هي مثال كويس للعطاء للناس بهذه الأيام؟ Exercise 8. In a group, discuss what you wrote. Did you all write about the same ways she helped people? Do all of you have the same opinion about the deeds you mentioned in your notes? Talk about how you might have acted if you were in Rufaidah's position. What do you think makes someone a good example to others? What can we learn from Rufaidah's example? What do you think? A boy doesn't have to go to war to be a hero. He can say he doesn't like cake when he sees there isn't enough to go around. E.W. Howe. Communication workshop. Writing a story. Before you start, read the newspaper article. Do you think Robert is a true hero? Why or why not? Little girl falls 10 meters into hands of superhero. Robert Smith was talking on his mobile phone in the street when he saw a little girl. She was hanging from a third-floor window across the street. Robert ran across the street and put out his arms. He was just in time to catch 5-year-old Daniela Burton before she hit the ground. After that, Robert was able to talk about what happened. It's good to feel you saved a child's life, but I'm not a hero. I just did my duty. Exercise 1. Match the paragraphs of the story with these questions. A. What happened in the end? بدنا نفكر إيش صار بالأخير. بدنا نشوف أي فقرة اللي بتشرح شو اللي صار بآخر القصة. B. How did the person react? What did he do? C. Who's the hero? What was he doing? Where was he? What happened? Exercise 2. In pairs, imagine you were taking part in a rescue. Use the questions in exercise 1 to help you. Plan the story. What happened first? And then? So, for example, first we can say he was talking on his mobile phone in the street. We can then say he saw the little girl. And then he ran across the street and put out his arms. Then the little girl fell into his arms. At the end, I quote, I did my duty. So, over here, we planned the story. خططنا للقصة، حكينا عن نقاط مختلفة عشان تكمل القصة. هلأ فكروا بقصة تانية واعملوا بهاي الطريقة. حطوا نقاط عشان تشرحوا القصة. Exercise 3. Write your story in 3 paragraphs. استعملوا النقاط اللي كتبتوها بإكسرسايز 2 واكتبوا فيها فقرات. Speaking. Exercise 4. In a group, read each other's stories. Which are the best? Explain why. Tell the class. Language development. Exercise 1. Here's a part of a conversation with a young Jordanian pilot. Fill the blanks using the correct form of the verbs in brackets. Interviewer. We just wanted to ask you some quick questions about the life of a pilot. How old were you when you first blank? The verb in brackets is fly. Put fly in the correct form. The pilot answered, I started when I was 20. I blank for joy when I got my first license. The verb in brackets is jump. Put jump in the correct form. Interviewer. It must have been exciting for you. When did you first become interested in flying? The pilot answered, I always blank air shows with my family when I was younger. The verb in brackets is attend. I blank one of Captain Omar Bilal's solo displays when I decided that I wanted to fly too. The verb in brackets is watch. Interviewer. Wasn't he one of the best pilots in Jordan? The pilot answered, he was one of the best pilots in the world. He even won the International Championship Award in Belgium in 1994. I'm sure I blank, the only teenage boy watching who wanted to be a hero just like him when I was older. In brackets you have not and be. Interviewer. However, I'm sure not many of them blank the talent. The verb in brackets is have. Pilot. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you. Exercise 2. Now listen to the conversation and check your answers. In a group, discuss your guesses. Interviewer. We just wanted to ask you some quick questions about the life of a pilot. How old were you when you first flew? Pilot. I started when I was 20. I jumped for joy when I got my first license. Interviewer. It must have been exciting for you. When did you first become interested in flying? The pilot said, I always attended air shows with my family when I was younger. I watched one of Captain Omar Bilal's solo displays when I decided that I wanted to fly too. Interviewer. Wasn't he one of the best pilots in Jordan? Pilot. He was one of the best pilots in the world. He even won the International Championship Award in Belgium in 1994. I'm sure I wasn't the only teenage boy watching who wanted to be a hero just like him when I was older. Interviewer. However, I'm sure not many of them have the talent. Pilot. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you. Exercise 3. Use these words to ask questions on the previous passage. I'm going to give you separate words and you have to make up the question. 1. Old, pilot, he, flying, was, the, how, question mark, started, when. The word how starts with a capital letter. That means it's the beginning of the sentence or the beginning of the question. How. So the correct question here would be, how old was the pilot when he started flying? Question mark. Number 2. Who, to, pilot, air shows, the, with, question mark, went. The word who starts with a capital letter, so that means that's the beginning of the question. The correct question here would be, who went with the pilot to the air shows? Question mark. Number 3. Was, who, hero, the, pilots? Question mark. Who is in capital, or who starts with a capital letter? The correct question here would be, who was the pilot's hero? Question mark. Number 4. When, question mark, Bilal, what did in 1994 award? What starts with a capital letter? The correct question here would be, what award did Bilal win in 1994? Question mark. Exercise 4. Now answer the questions from exercise 3. Exercise 5. Match the words with the definitions. The words I have are 1. Robber, 2. Brave, 3. Focused, 4. Theft, 5. Moral. Definitions. A. Concentrating on something and giving it particular attention. Would that be robber, brave, focused, theft, or moral? The correct answer here would be focused. B. The crime of stealing. Would that be robber, brave, theft, or moral? C. Somebody who takes property from someone by force. Would that be robber, brave, theft, or moral? D. Ready to face danger and do something courageous. Would that be robber, brave, theft, or moral? E. Concerned with what is right or wrong. Would you match that with robber, brave, theft, or moral? Crossword puzzle. Read the clues and write the words in the puzzle. Number 1. An injury to your body that is made by a weapon. This word has 5 letters, and the first letter is a W. The answer here would be wound. Wound is made out of 5 letters, and the first letter is W. Number 2. Thinking about what people need and trying to help them. This word is made out of 6 letters, and the first letter is a C. Number 3. To take hold of someone or something with a sudden or violent movement. This word has 4 letters and it starts with the letter G. Number 4. To say that you will cause someone trouble if they don't do what you want. This word is made out of 8 letters, and the first letter is a T. Number 5. A person who serves in an army. This word has 7 letters, and the first letter is S. Number 6. To give someone the courage or confidence to do something. This word has 9 letters. The first letter is E, and the third letter is C. Number 7. Someone who always tells the truth and does not cheat or steal. This word has 6 letters. The first letter is H, and the 5th letter is S. Number 8. Skilled at doing something or intelligent. This word has 6 letters. The first letter is C. Number 9. Famous for being able to do something extremely well. It is made out of 5 letters, and the first letter is G. Answer this question. What is Rufayda al-Aslamiyya's full name? Where was she born?